All right, welcome back, guys. Let's go ahead and continue on with our books with the illustrator Duncan Tonatiuh. Our book today is another book that doesn't have anything written on the front, but our title here, do I have it upright? Our title is Danza, okay? So how many of you love to dance? I know I do. I like dancing. I may not be the best dancer out there, but I've got some moves. So, how would you describe your style of dancing? What do you like to dance? Is it a specific type of music? Is it upbeat? Is it slow? Is it smooth? Is it like a waltz? What type of music do you dance to? So, this book is about a woman from Mexico who wanted to teach people about her country's folk dancing, traditional dances performed by ordinary people. The title is Danza with an exclamation mark after it. Amelia Hernandez and El Ballet Folklórico de Mexico, written and illustrated by Duncan Tonatiuh. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started and see how this plays out for her. If people danced with her or if they enjoyed her dancing skills. Danza, Amelia Hernandez and El Ballet Folklórico de Mexico by Duncan Tonatiuh. Amelia Hernandez was born in Mexico City in 1917, and everyone assumed she would grow up to be a school teacher like her mother and her grandmother. Even Ami, um, even Ami, as everyone called her, expected that. So Ami is the name of a person in our story. But one afternoon, while her family was on vacation, Ami saw a pair of dancers in a town square. They stomped and swayed to the live music. The danza that they performed had been danced by people of that area for generations. Ami was hooked. She made a decision she was going to become a dancer herself. So she was inspired by those dancers and she was ready to be a dancer. All right. So Ami twirled in the living room and whirled in the kitchen. Amalia scolded her. Oh no, so it's more of Amalia. He was mad. So Amalia scolded her father, a stern military man, but her mother encouraged Ami's interest in the arts, and one day her father gave in. He had a studio built in their home and hired the best dance teacher that he could find. After school, Ami studied ballet with Madame Nombre, who had danced with the Paris Opera, and with Professor Zybin, who had danced with Pavlova's world-renowned Russian ballet. Okay, so ballet is a type of dance that uses precise steps. Some of you in the class are ballet dancers. So it requires these precise steps, including difficult leaps and turns, right? Yeah, it takes a lot of practice to become a professional ballet dancer. Okay. Ami worked on her technique and made sure she always pointed her feet. She perfected the different structured positions and became an accomplished ballerina. In 1939, two dancers from the United States visited Mexico City, where Ami lived. They performed a new style of dance called modern. Amalia was deeply impressed. The movements were expressive and they would be jarring when compared with the delicate movement of ballet. So these are labeled I guess, stances in ballet. So we've got first. This is what you look like when you're in first position. This is an arabesque. This is a pirouette, a grand battement, and this is what it's called to do a fifth. Okay. Ami met Waldine, one of the modern dancers, and began to study with her. She also continued practicing ballet. Ami was very talented and disciplined. In time, she became a dance teacher and a choreographer herself. A choreographer is a person who creates dance steps and arranges them together to create new dance pieces. In 1952, after rehearsing for months, Ami and other dancers gave a performance. They presented many different dances, but the one the audience clapped for the most was a piece called Sones de Michoacán. Ami was the choreographer, and the dance was similar to the regional danza that she had seen in town square when she was a little girl. Okay, so why do you think the writer chose to include this fact? Um, that what does it tell you about Ami? What does that tell us about her dancing skills and her music and her being a choreographer for her very first song? All right, let's move on. Ami had an idea. She decided that she would create ballets based on the folkloric danza from the different regions of Mexico. She was so excited that she formed her own company with 7 other dancers. Ami began to travel to villages all around the country to learn as much as she could about the area's traditional dances. She read about the history of each place and talked with elders. When possible, she participated in the danzas herself. She paid special attention to the steps, the music, and the outfits the people wore. Okay. After returning home, Ami would go to the dance studio. The danzas y bailes she saw in the villages were for ceremonial purposes, like celebrating a patron saint or hoping for a good harvest. Other times, the dances happened so people could have fun and meet new friends. However, the dance pieces Ami was creating were meant to be performances, the audiences to watch in a theater. Ami used her skills as her choreographer and her knowledge of both ballet and modern dance to make the pieces innovative and beautiful. She made sure the dancers wore dazzling costumes and that there were dramatic lighting and spectacular backdrops. Audiences loved the folkloric ballets, and Amalia's dance company quickly became very famous. In 1954, they performed on the Función de Gala television show. They danced on the show every week for more than 60 weeks. The company grew to include 20 dancers and then 50. The company repertoire or stock of dances included ballets based on mestizo bailes, like the sones jarachos from Veracruz. Mestizo is the combination of a Marindian, um, European, and African traditions. In this ballet, musicians in white uh, dressed in white, played the harp and guitars as dancers stomped on a tarima. All right, so can you tell from the illustration what a tarima is? Because it says that they stomped on a tarima. You see the tarima? It looks like it's this plank here. This, like a wooden stage slash plank, maybe? That's what it looks like to me. All right, next. The company's repertoire also included ballets based on indigenous danzas like La Danza de Venado from the Yaquay in the Sonoran Desert and Los Quetzales from the Nahuas and Totonaco people in Valley of Mexico. That's interesting. Some of the company's ballets were not based on traditional dances, but were original pieces inspired by Mexico's pre-Columbian past. Ami wanted to celebrate the history of her country. She looked at these sculptures and art that ancient civilizations like the Aztecs and the Maya had created. She conceived dance steps for ballets like La Gran uh, Tenochtitlan based on that art. So let's see. Ami wanted to celebrate the history of her country. Think about how her art helped us do that no matter where we live. Okay, how did her art help us do that no matter where we're living at? Okay. Some ballets were inspired by more recent history and by music like the polka and waltz, which were popular with the wealthy in the 19th century, or by corridos, which were popular with the poor at the beginning of the 20th century. Ami would often dance as Juana Gallo, a fierce female soldier of the time. The company became a great success not only in Mexico but abroad too. In 1959, the Mexican government asked it to represent Mexico in the Pan American Games. These games are similar to the Olympics, but only athletes from the Americas compete. It was a great honor to be a part of such an important event. That year, Ami decided to call the company El Ballet Folclórico de México, Mexico's folklore ballet. The company became truly international in 1961 when it won the first prize at the prestigious Festival of Nations in Paris. Famous ballets and important dance troupes from all over the world competed at the event. After the folkloric ballet won, it was invited to tour in Europe. Later on, it visited Japan and Australia. The dancers even performed next to Great Sphinx in Egypt. Wow, that's so awesome. So, why might this have been important to Ami? More than just winning prizes? What do you think? I think it was more than just winning prizes. She truly loved what she did, didn't she? To be touring the world was exciting for Ami, but it was not simple to arrange. The company needed transportation for 50 or so dancers, musicians, and sound and lighting technicians, and more than 3 tons of costumes. Ami decided to stop dancing so she could focus on choreographing um, and directing the company. She was now like a general, much like her military father, supervising all the different people involved in the folkloric ballet and making sure to show the shows came out perfectly. The company had so many engagements that Ami had to create 2 groups, one to travel around the world and one to offer performances in Mexico. Wow, seems like it's just getting bigger and bigger, huh? She's doing good for herself. Okay. In 1968, Ami opened a dance school. Her brother, who was an architect, designed the building, which housed studios and classrooms. At the school, students could learn folkloric dance and also ballet and modern dance. Often the dancers who studied at the school became professionals in Amalia's company. That's awesome. As the years passed, Ami continued teaching and supervising the folkloric ballet's rehearsals. She had become a school teacher after all, like her mother and her grandmother. Okay, so um, Why do you think the author chose to include that last sentence, that she had become a school teacher after all, like her mother and grandmother? All right. Amalia Hernandez passed away on November the 5th of 2000, but her legacy lives on. El Ballet Folclórico de Mexico performs every Wednesday and Saturday at the Palacio de Bellas Artes, the Palace of Fine Arts in Mexico City. They have been doing so without interruption for more than 50 years. The company also continues to tour internationally. Today, there are thousands of Mexican folkloric dance groups, both professional and amateur, in Mexico and the United States. Perhaps you've seen one perform at your school or in your neighborhood for Cinco de Mayo. Maybe you've even dressed as a charro or danced the jarabe tapatio. I know I have. Me inspired generations of dancers to perform these danzas. She made the folkloric dances of Mexico known around the world, and she encouraged people of Mexican origin to feel pride in their roots and in their traditional dances. All right. That was special. I love how she fell in love because she was inspired by seeing somebody else dance. And then she took that love and that passion and she just ran with it. And it's neat to see how what she did is she inspired so many other people around the world, because now so many people love to dance folkloric dancing. We actually have a folkloric Mexican dancing group here in San Angelo. So if you're interested in joining or doing something like that, or even just watching them perform, they always perform at all of the Hispanic fiestas in town. Cinco de Mayo is one of them. Also, the 16th of September will be one of them as well. So, just some little tidbits for you guys. I hope you like this book, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.